Well, let's try it, huh? Let's see. Oh, okay. We'll see how that does. On our way down, 106 miles in, 39 kilowatts, showing 65 miles of range left, and it's 100 miles home. So, yeehaw. Roll the windows up just a little bit. Still like that breeze, but it is starting to warm up. And I know that this camera is going to overheat. So, yeah, we're on the sunny side of the mountain right now. But it won't be long and we will slip onto the east side, away from the sun, passing through 9,000 foot elevation. And here we go. This ain't the saddle. But, I don't know, maybe it is. No. That wasn't the saddle. Saddle's got to pull out some markers. Anyway, yeah, we're starting downhill now. See how much of this we recover. We had a maximum of 39 kilowatts used. Is that right? Yeah. At 105 miles in. So, yeah, we're going to be making energy now. We're still at 39 miles in. That clock, or 39 kilowatts, that's 38.9 now. Okay, it's going to start ticking them off. Let's see if you can guess how far down will that kilowatt hour meter go as we go down mt.Graham. We used, wow, roughly 22, let's say 22 coming up the mountain. So if we regen half of that, that would be 11. Take 11 off, that would knock us down from 39 to 28 kilowatts. Now that'll put us back to half tank. Yeah, we're climbing back up again. We're back up to 39 kilowatts. Yeah, we gotta flip over to the other side of the mountain before we can start making Monday. Probably brought you in a little prematurely. Just want to make sure we don't catch somebody hot-footing it around one of these curves and have to zig to avoid their zag and run the whole day, you know what I mean? So, okay, we're 4 minutes in. 39.1 kilowatts again. Mile marker 133 on the Swift Trail. Okay. Yeah, after the fires, they had a big problem with rock slides and mudslides. See where they had to fix a lot of the road. Some of that road back there is pretty rough still. Or since, I guess. Yeah, it's a little uncivilized for a Chevy Bolt. But I picked my way through it pretty well. I did bottom my struts a couple of times. I'm not proud of that. Now, the thing you gotta be mindful of, and is this the saddle? Shake Trailhead. No, it's not the saddle. But the thing you gotta be mindful of is in these descents, obviously you don't want to overuse your brakes, but don't be afraid to use them when you need to. The best thing to do is meter your throttle so you manage your momentum going into the turns, so you don't find yourself at the apex wishing you hadn't entered so quickly, because then you start having to use your friction brakes, and if you're like me, you say, dang, I could have done that better. You know, I mean, theoretically, you should be able to make it down without using the friction brake. And a Bolt is really handy for that, because it's got this lever here on the back of the steering wheel on the left. And even though I'm in the L position, which is one pedal driving, if I need to apply more regen because I didn't properly modulate the throttle before I got in, then I can just apply that button and it kicks regen up some. So that'll save you. Chevy doesn't do that on any of their new EVs. I don't know if the new Bolt gets it. I hope it does. That's a really neat feature. And, you know, like I was looking at the Slate doesn't even have a D position. It has one pedal driving. That's the only option. And honestly, that's all you need. The only reason the Bolt has a D position is to make it drive like a gas rig for those who just don't like electric cars. They don't know why, they just don't. Okay, here's the saddle. Yeah, this should be Ladybug saddle. Right here. Yeah. There's the pull out. Okay. So we are now on the south or east side of the mountain. And I'm going to try and gather up momentum on these straights and burn it off by lifting the throttle. And, you know, if I do that, 35, I can really squeeze it on. And you know, so that I gotta admit, that's fun. That's fun. Alright. Of course, this guy's going to creep on down here and he's going to cheat me out of all this inertia. So now I'm only regenning 6, 7, 8 kilowatts. But, you know, it is a Ford. I don't know if it's an F350, but he's going to pull off for me. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. I've got a lot more wiggle room when it comes to come down this mountain because I've got such a lighter vehicle. That vehicle of his could weigh 9, 10, even 10,000 pounds. I doubt it. I think it probably weighs between 8 and 9. But it's twice the weight of this thing. And it doesn't have the ability to manage energy the way I do. I mean, he could use engine braking, manually finally shifted down. But given the way he was driving, I don't think that's what he's doing. A lot of people will just ride their brakes all the way down. And I used to do a lot of brake work for customers, and they'd ask me, how come I have to keep putting brakes on this thing? I says, well, where you been? All I did was go up to the cabin this weekend, up mt.Graham. Yeah. How many times you go up and down mt.Graham this weekend? Oh, probably 3 times. It seems like we forgot something every time I turned around. It says, yeah, well, do you use the transmission to help you manage the energy coming down? I had one gal, sweet little old lady otherwise, but man, she lit me up. She turned to me when I suggested shifting that automatic transmission. She says, young man, this is an automatic transmission. You don't shift it. I could see there's no way I was going to win that one. So I excused myself, went inside, and told my service manager, Mr. Bill, she's all yours. That probably wasn't the best way to handle it, but I just knew that pulling the owner's manual out in front of her and pointing to managing descent down hills section would just be like rubbing in her face, and she seemed to be pretty proud at that moment. So I tucked tail and run. Anyway, I don't know if you're going to be able to hear any of this. I may just be talking to myself, but you get an idea here. We're not regenning as quickly as I'd like, but we're not on the longer, faster stretches yet, so we've got a lot of opportunity yet. Because we're only what? 7 or 8 miles in the descent, and we just barely passed the saddle, so we're gonna do a lot of regen in here. We're regenning at 26 kilowatts. I have to slow down really good here, so I'm gonna throw some extra regen in here. See how that slows it down, and you turn it in, and whee! Now you know why it goes through tires. Yeah, well, voice is getting dry. Now these hills, I just 2 weeks ago I went and came down through the Coronado Trail, and I came down from Alpine. There's a lot more switchbacks, a lot more straights, a lot more grades. I regented like crazy on that one. That's what drove me to finally tackle this one. You know, because mt.Graham I'm familiar with, and I know there's like I say, I replaced a lot of brakes for people, customers, after they come off this mountain. Transmissions will burn up on this mountain too, going up. They'll drag their trailers up, and again, automatic transmission, leave that thing in drive, and they'll cook them. I try to tell them, you got to use the lower ranges, keep that torque converter as far out of shear as you can, because that thing will make a lot of heat, and that fluid can get over 300 degrees. And by the way, 300 degree automatic transmission fluid burns like gasoline, and I've seen them. Chevrolet don't want to hear me say this, but I've seen them literally burn the truck to the ground. fact, I have actually seen a river of aluminum. That's when the case melts and all that's left between the engine and the transfer case is the steel parts. The aluminum housing, the aluminum case, it's all melted away. And that takes about 1100 degrees to melt aluminum, so that's a dang hot fire. And that's from blowing ATF onto the exhaust manifold. Right out the dipstick hole. Because that fluid expands rather rapidly. You know. So that's why, you know, having the opportunity to take that energy and harvest it instead of it turning into heat, you can recover it. And we're okay, so we're down at 37.6. We're at 39 or 39.1. So we got a couple kilowatts back yet, and we're only a few minutes in here. And the range is climbing. I'm up to 79 miles of range now, and it's going to keep going up till we get out to Highway 191, so I'm going to make it home without having to charge. Safford is 21 miles. The junction, 191, is 14 miles. Let's see how many miles we recover in 14 miles. Right now, I'm at 80 miles of range. So let's see how many we recover by the time we get to the junction, 14 miles. And 37.4 kilowatts. Now, mind you, I haven't touched the brake at any point coming down. Sometimes I touch this button to give me a little bit more braking effect with the regen. It's like right now I'm going to do that. Yeah. Yeah, it drives pretty good through these. Pretty easy to manage that energy. See, most of the time I'm just letting off the throttle pedal and it slows right down. A little bit of practice, you can do that too. You know, people say, well, it drives like a golf cart. Yeah, well, you know, that ain't all bad. You know, like a 200 horsepower golf cart. And it's, you know, the other thing is, you don't realize it until you go from this car back into a gas car. But you set the cruise control in this thing. Say you set it on 55. It stays right on 55. It doesn't go to 56, 57, going down a hill like other cars that shall remain nameless. No, it'll stay right on 55. I could set the cruise going down here, but I won't. It's not a great idea on a road like this. On a little bit more control, immediate control. But it would stay right on 20. Well, the lowest you can set this is 24. And I actually did use the cruise control coming down from Alpine. You know, I mean, if I did that right now, and then when I see myself entering into a sharp one, then I just tap this paddle on the back. So we dropped 2,000 feet since I've been yakking. And we're regenning at 26 miles an hour, doing 12 kilowatts. We're putting them back into the battery. And the nice thing is, when these things fixing to do a switchback, well, then they got one of them 15 mile an hour signs. But I've got to slow it down a little bit. I could have gone through there at that speed, but there's no good reason to. It is nice. Just let up a little pressure off the throttle and she slows right down. There is no. I mean, look at that. Went right into that sharp turn. All I had to do was lift my foot. And I come back on it. Okay, so we've recovered a couple of kilowatts so far. That don't sound like much. That only translates to about 5 or 6 miles. I guess it's about right, because we haven't been on this side of the mountain that long. And we do have, let's see, we're at 7,000 feet and dropping. So we've still got technically 4,000 feet to drop to the valley floor. We ought to be able to get some decent energy back in the battery then. Somebody hit that tree. Yikes. Might have been watching his phone or something. Okay. Curves and mountain grades, next 6 miles. I'm glad they told me. Okay, and look at this one, 10 mile per hour sign. Yeah, see, we're going to have a nice switch back here. And if I need more, I just squeeze it in on the back of the steering wheel. See how nice that works? Come out of that. I give it just a little bit of throttle to, because otherwise this thing would come to a stop. You want to see? Watch this. It just come to a stop. And we're on a downgrade. If I was on closer to level ground, this thing would come to an actual stop. I wonder if it will stop if I do this. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, and then it quit. So, the only time it does an actual come to complete stop is if you're on level ground. And that's cool. But it gives you a lot of control, and that's kind of the point. You know, you get a lot of control, and it's the most efficient way to manage it, you know. And my range has gone up to 88 miles. So we've gained 20 miles in range according to the gauge. What was our range when we turned up? The range was 99. That was our miles. And the range. Did I write it down? Well, I know it's going to come back up, so I don't think I did. It's warming up. Ooh, we're 87 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and turn the AC back on. And I'm going to turn that off, go that way and that way, and turn that off. That way we won't get so much noise for you all. Yeah, and I'm going to close these windows. Squeeze button at all. Okay. Yeah. My range is up to 85 miles now. And we've put back almost 3 kilowatts now. What did I say? 11 kilowatts that would be pretty good. Think we can make it? One thing about electric cars, you definitely hear everything. You know, people don't realize how noisy gasoline engines are. I mean, they got quiet mufflers and they do a lot of work to quiet up the induction system, but there's just a lot of sound. You know, did you know that your radio in your new cars, and this has been true for 25 years, you set the volume, and then you take off and you go. As road speed increases, it'll increase the volume, because otherwise you think there's something wrong with the radio. Yeah, no kidding. It's just because the background noise comes up so much. And with his electric car, the background noise doesn't come up nearly as much as it does with an ICE engine. There's just not as much moving parts. This one has basically the rotor, the counter shaft, and then your final drive and carrier. So 3 or 4, 5 pieces. Internal combustion engine and transmission, they've got hundreds of pieces. And every time these pieces interface with each other, they make a little noise. Now you don't always hear it audibly, but it'll travel through the vehicle, and you'll find yourself just with all that background noise, what we call white noise. Yeah. It's nondescript, but it just, the volume comes up and up and up and up. Here we are. Is that Noon Creek? Wow. Okay. Now, what's funny is I regened like the Dickens coming down the Coronado Trail. That was just fascinating. From Alpine to Morenci. I only used 27 kilowatts of energy. And that was, I don't want to be wrong about this, from Alpine to Morenci, I'm thinking it was around 90 miles. No, it couldn't be. Well, yeah, it could be. So, you think about it. I regened 30 miles off of the clock. So that means I made 3 miles. That's 11 kilowatts. Well, yeah, that's the best way we've got to compute it, because the energy consumption is really so much a variable on these. That's why they rate this car at 120 or 105, I think, miles per gallon E. Yeah, there's no way that makes sense to compare them, but that satisfies everybody anyway. But yeah, if you take what it costs, I paid 10 cents a kilowatt at home. I've paid as much as 68 cents a kilowatt while traveling. This last weekend that I was out, I charged several times. It was like 38 cents a kilowatt average, I think. Wasn't bad at all. And I think I spent a total of $51 to go 565 miles. I mean, that's not even 10 cents a mile. You know what I mean? That's pretty darn good. Yeah, we've got it. We're down to 35 and a half kilowatts that we've used. So we're still putting them back in. My range My range is up to 96 miles. Remember, it was down to 60 something, wasn't it? So it's got a 50% increase just due to the regen. Well, obviously that's not no guarantee you're going to get that, but the funny thing is it's taking this and taking the data and using it to predict your projected range, and it's going to be optimistic after coming down this hill. Wow, see that deer? And you guys missed the two young deer I came across. I was coming along there on this dirt road back there, and come around the corner, and there they was chawing on some dry grass on the side of the road. They looked up at me, and I could hear them saying, "How in the hell did you get this close to us?" I just snuck right up on them, and they says, "That's what I need to do. I need to increase the lower speed." Yeah. All right. So yeah, and then one started jumping down the mountain. The other one jumped up the mountain. They just didn't know where I had come from. I might have been like some alien spaceship coming in there. You ever wonder what they think? You know they do. I don't think they're planning for college or anything, but try to be cautious. I'm sure that when that shadows start to get long, they start saying, "Hey, it's time to get home. I'll be looking for us." Okay. And we're down 35 kilowatts used instead of, where were we at? I think we were at almost 40, 39. Yeah, 39 was the high point. So that's how you could tell you're putting energy back. We've put more than 5, well, we're working on 5 now, more than 4 kilowatts back in. And again, that sounds small, so what percentage is that? 4 kilowatts of a 60 kilowatt system. It's 1/15. About 7%, right? 7% savings is 7% savings, and we're not done yet. So, now yours is popping. We're coming down. I will say I was able to come down the Coronado Trail faster than I come down here, so that has something to do with it, because your inertia, I'm only doing 30 miles an hour. Then now if I slow down, 24, 22. You get yourself one of these things, and it don't take long to figure out what it's actually doing. It's got a pretty good display here, the information. It's pretty straightforward, and you don't have to understand it to drive it. But if you do understand it, you can think about how you can optimize it. I've decided I'm going to try and do the Winslow to Sheldon run with no charging in between. That'll be interesting. So we're down 24.5 kilowatts, or 34.5. So we've recovered 4.5 now. And if you look out there, you can see we miles of range. I was all worried about how much I was going to lose and whether I was going to have to charge to make sure I could make it over the mountain going home. But the real thing is my fuel gauge is almost up to half a tank. That's more than plenty to get home. So that's the real thing. It's saying, according to the amount of energy that's in the battery now and the way my driving habits have manifested over the last 7,500 miles, it calculates that I've got 118 miles that I can go. And it's saying if I hypermile this thing, I could go as far as 146 miles. So, I'm pretty comfortable with 119. I know I can pull that off. And, I can go faster here. Let's see. Let's speed it up to 50. See what happens to the regen. As soon as it gets up there, lay on the regen. And we're regenerating at 16, 17, 18 kilowatt. 17, 18. But of course, we're going to get down the hill faster too. So we're down to 33.8 kilowatts. Range is 120. So that's the way I should have asked the questions. How much range would I recover? When we went up, my range was 151 miles. And we were at 18 kilowatts used. And 58 miles from home. When we get down to the bottom hill here, I'll be 58 miles from home. And I'm still regenerating, so my kilowatts will be down to 33 kilowatts used. And my range 10, so I'm 24 now. I'll have to give you the report on getting over the hill and getting home. I guess the reason I'm doing this is because if you look at range numbers, it can be deceiving. Almost always I get further than what the range will calculate out to. And you would think here in the Mountain West, everywhere you go is uphill. Well, for every hill you go up, you get somewhere before the end of the day, you're going to get that downhill. That's why, we ate up a bunch of kilowatts going up that mountain. Now, we didn't get anywhere near the regen out of it I was hoping to. I think it's because the overall speed was lower than it was coming through Coronado, which sounds funny because there's some really tight turns coming through there. But there's also some really long, steep grades. And I was burning off a lot of altitude. So, gravity was powering the car a long ways. Like right now, my range is showing 128 miles now. I'm going 49 miles an hour. I'm not regenerating anymore. 33 kilowatts used over 125 miles driven. Think about that for a second. 30 kilowatts into 120, that's 4 miles a kilowatt. That's not too bad. That's in the mountains. Yeah, so that's why I do this regen exercise, is because the stock number there looks like, we only recovered at most 6 kilowatts in that descent. Well, at 4 kilowatts, which is what the average is here, that's 24 miles. All right? before I get this thing home. I'm almost at half tank. And it's showing 130 miles of range. It'll be interesting to see what it shows when I get home. I will record that and let you know. I'm going to turn it off right now because there's no reason to catch us. We're already 42 minutes in. Talk to you later.